I never believed in fate. Not the kind people romanticize. Not the kind that brings two souls together under perfect circumstances. No. The kind of fate I met was darker, colder, and far more dangerous. The night everything changed, I wasn't supposed to be there. It was raining, one of those heavy, suffocating storms that makes the city feel smaller, like the sky itself is pressing down on you. I had just left work, exhausted, my mind too busy to notice the black car parked across the street. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was looking back. I remember the moment so clearly. The door of the car opened slowly, deliberately. A man stepped out, dressed in black from head to toe. His presence alone shifted the air around him. And then, his eyes met mine. I should have looked away. I should have walked faster. I should have disappeared into the crowd. But I didn't, because something about him held me in place, like I had just stepped into a story I couldn't escape from. Wait. His voice was low, controlled, dangerous. And I stopped. Even now, I don't know why. He walked toward me, each step measured, confident, like he already owned the ground beneath my feet. Like he already owned me. "You saw too much," he said. I frowned, confused. "I don't even know who you are." A faint smile touched his lips, not warm, not kind. Cold. That's exactly the problem. Before I could react, everything happened too fast. The world spun, strong hands gripped my arms, and darkness swallowed me whole. When I woke up, I wasn't in my apartment anymore. The room was unfamiliar, luxurious but suffocating. Heavy curtains blocked out the light, and the silence felt too loud. And then I heard it. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, approaching. My heart started racing. The door opened, and there he was. The same man from the street, only now there was no distance between us. "No one leaves after seeing what you saw," he said calmly. "What did I see?" I demanded, my voice trembling despite my effort to sound strong. He studied me for a moment, as if deciding something. Then he stepped closer. "You were in the wrong place, at the wrong time." I shook my head. "Then let me go. I won't say anything." Another small smile. "You don't understand." He leaned closer, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. "I don't let things go." That was the moment I realized the truth. I wasn't just in danger. I was trapped. Days passed, or maybe weeks. I lost track of time. The room became my prison, and him, my shadow. He was always there, watching, observing, controlling every detail of my life as if I were something fragile or something valuable. At first, I hated him. No, hate wasn't enough. I feared him. Every movement, every word, every glance felt like a test I didn't understand. "Why am I here?" I asked one night, unable to hold it in any longer. He was standing by the window, looking out at the city like it belonged to him. "Because you're alive," he replied. "That doesn't make sense." He turned slowly. "It does in my world." Silence filled the room. Then I asked the question I had been avoiding. "What are you?" For a brief second, something changed in his expression. Then it disappeared. "I'm the man people pray they never meet." And just like that, I knew. Mafia, danger, death. And somehow, I was right in the middle of it. But the strangest part? He never hurt me. not physically. Instead, he watched me like I was something he couldn't quite understand, or something he didn't want to break. "You should be afraid of me," he said one evening. "I am," I replied. He stepped closer. "Not enough." My breath caught. "Why does it matter?" His gaze darkened. "Because if you're not afraid, you'll stay." I didn't answer, because deep down, I already knew the truth. I couldn't leave. Not because he locked the doors, but because something inside me had already changed. And that scared me more than anything. Days turned into something else. Conversations became longer. Silences became heavier. And his presence, it stopped feeling like a threat. That was my third mistake. "You're different with me," I said one night. He didn't answer immediately. Then, "Don't confuse control with kindness." But I saw it. The way his eyes softened for just a second. The way he stayed longer than necessary. The way he never let anyone else come near me. This wasn't protection. This was something else, something darker, something dangerous. Obsession. "You belong here," he said one day. "I don't belong to you," I snapped. In one swift movement, he was in front of me, close, too close. His hand brushed my face, his touch surprisingly gentle, but his eyes, possessive. "You don't get to decide that." My heart pounded. "You're insane." A quiet laugh escaped him. "Maybe." And then he leaned closer, his voice barely audible. "But you're still here." That night, everything changed. Not because something happened, but because something shifted inside me. I stopped fighting as hard. I stopped looking at the door every time it opened, and I started looking at him. That was the moment I realized the most dangerous truth of all. I wasn't just his prisoner anymore. I was becoming part of his world. And once you enter that world, there's no going back. Because love, in his world, isn't gentle. It isn't safe. It doesn't ask for permission. It takes. It consumes. It destroys. And yet, it's impossible to escape. "I should let you go," he said one night. I looked at him, my chest tightening. "Then why don't you?" Silence. A long, heavy silence. Then he stepped closer, his forehead almost touching mine. "Because I can't." My breath trembled. "Why?" His answer came like a confession or a warning. "Because the moment I saw you." A pause. Dark. Intense. Final. "I decided you were mine." And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I didn't want to run anymore. Because somewhere along the way, I had become just as dangerous as him. And this wasn't just his obsession anymore. It was ours. I wish I could tell you that I fought it, that I held on to who I was before him, before the dark rooms, the guarded doors, the quiet tension that never truly left the air. But that wouldn't be the truth. The truth is, I changed. Slowly, at first, almost unnoticeably. It started with the way I stopped asking to leave, then the way I stopped questioning where he went at night, then the way I started waiting for him to come back. That was the most dangerous part, waiting. Because waiting means you care. And caring, in his world, is a weakness people exploit, or a weapon they use. "Why are you looking at me like that?" he asked one evening. I hadn't even realized I was staring. "Like what?" "Like you're trying to understand me." I hesitated. Maybe I am. He exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. That's a mistake. Why? Because there's nothing to understand. I stepped closer. That's not true. His eyes darkened, but he didn't move away. There's always something. For a moment, just a moment, I saw it again, that crack in his armor, gone as quickly as it appeared. You should stop, he said quietly. Stop what? Looking at me like I'm human. The words hit harder than anything else he had ever said, because deep down, I knew what he meant. In his world, being human was dangerous. It made you vulnerable, and vulnerability got people killed. But I didn't step back. I think you forgot how to be one, I whispered. Silence. Heavy, tense. Then suddenly his hand gripped my wrist, not painfully, but firmly. You don't get to say things like that, he said, his voice low, controlled. Barely. Why? Because it's true? His grip tightened slightly. Because it makes me want things I shouldn't want. My heart skipped. What kind of things? He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled me closer, too close. His breath brushed against my lips, his gaze locking onto mine with an intensity that made it hard to breathe. Dangerous things, he murmured. And for the first time, I didn't feel like running. Days later, I found out just how dangerous his world really was. It happened without warning. Voices, loud, urgent, the kind of noise that doesn't belong in a controlled environment. I stepped out of the room before I could think better of it. That was my fourth mistake. Men I had never seen before filled the hallway, armed, alert, tense. And then, a gunshot. Everything froze. My heart slammed against my chest as panic rushed through me. What's happening? I whispered, but no one answered. Another shot, closer this time, and then, get her out of here! His voice, sharp, commanding. I turned just in time to see him. Different. Not the controlled man who watched me from the shadows, no. This was something else. Cold, focused, lethal. Blood stained his sleeve, but he didn't even seem to notice. Stay behind me, he ordered. Now! Something in his tone left no room for argument. I obeyed. For the first time, I saw the reality he had tried to keep from me. The danger, the violence, the constant threat that followed him like a shadow. This wasn't a game. This was life or death. Another man appeared at the end of the hall, raising a weapon. Everything slowed down. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. And then, a shot. The man fell. Silence followed. Heavy. Final. I realized my hands were shaking. My entire body felt like it was on the verge of collapsing. He turned to me, his expression unreadable. You weren't supposed to see this. My voice came out barely above a whisper. This is your world. Yes. And I'm in it. A pause. Then quietly. Yes. The weight of that truth settled deep inside me. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't something I could walk away from. I was already too far in. That night, everything felt different. The walls felt closer, the silence heavier. And him? He kept his distance, for the first time since I had been there. You're avoiding me, I said. He didn't look up. I'm protecting you. From what? His jaw tightened. From me. I stepped closer. That doesn't make sense. It does, he snapped, finally looking at me. You saw what I am. I already knew. No, he said sharply. You didn't. The tension between us snapped like a thread pulled too tight. That changes nothing, I said. It changes everything. Then tell me, I demanded. Tell me why you won't let me go if I don't belong here. Silence. Long. Suffocating. Then he stood up, walking toward me slowly. Because the moment you walk out that door, he said quietly, you become a target. My stomach dropped. A target? For my enemies. The realization hit me like a wave. They would use you against me. I stepped back. And you think keeping me here is better? Yes. Or is it because you don't want to let me go? I challenged. His eyes flashed. Careful. Answer me! Another step closer. You already know the answer. My heart pounded. Say it. Silence. Then, finally, I don't let go of what's mine. The words sent a chill through me. Not because they scared me, but because a part of me didn't want to fight them anymore. And that terrified me. Because somewhere between fear and control, between danger and desire, between captivity and choice, I had crossed a line I could never uncross. I should hate you, I whispered. You should, but I don't. He froze, just for a second. And in that second, everything changed again. Because this wasn't just his dangerous obsession anymore. It was something deeper, something darker, something that bound us together in a way neither of us could escape. Not him, not me, not anymore. The night it all ended felt exactly like the night it began. Rain, heavy, relentless, as if the sky itself knew something was about to break. I stood by the window, staring out at the city that had become both my prison and my home. And for the first time since I met him, I was alone. Truly alone. No footsteps, no quiet presence in the shadows, no watchful eyes following my every move. Just silence. But it didn't feel like freedom. It felt like the calm before something irreversible. The door opened behind me. I didn't turn. I knew you'd come back, I said quietly. His voice came, lower than usual. This is the last time. That made me turn, and when I saw him, something inside me shattered. Blood, more than before. His movements slower, his eyes darker, not with control, but with something else, something close to exhaustion. What happened? I asked, stepping toward him. Stop, he said. I froze, not because of fear, because of the distance in his voice. They know about you. My heart dropped. Who? All of them. The weight of those words crushed the air out of my lungs. And what does that mean? He looked at me, really looked at me, like he was memorizing every detail. It means